Hello and welcome to News at 10, our last bulletin for the day. We're also live on 3FM 92.7 and streaming on the internet at 3news.com. You can also follow us on Facebook Live on our page TV3GH. We begin with the day's news highlights. Government has justified an ambitious plan to build a new oil refinery to replace the Tema oil refinery within the next 3 to 4 years. Energy Minister Boakye Agyarko says the new facility should increase the supply of refined petroleum in the country. Tonight, the National Petroleum Authority says it will withdraw all cylinders in Ghana as part of the cylinder recirculation module. The NPA, at a downstream colloquium, says it is bent on implementing this policy. And the second Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Osei-Owusu, had his tempers flared up during discussions of the private security persons who have been recruited to beef up security in Parliament. Some MPs had insisted the identity of the private security personnel be made known to them, raising matters of insecurity as they suspect such persons to be members of the MPP's invisible forces. Those were our major news highlights. Remember, we're also live on your radio, 3FM 92.7, and streaming on the internet at 3news.com. Up next is the big one. Welcome back. Now, the Ghana Highway Authority says the Bupe and Yape bridges in the northern region will be closed to vehicular traffic and traveling population from Thursday 1st to Friday 2nd February. This is to enable asphalt overlay works to be carried out on the bridges. The bridges will be closed for 6 hours from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. each day. A statement issued by the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Highway Authority appealed to those who cannot afford the 6-hour wait to use the following alternative routes. 1, the Western Corridor, Accra, Kumasi, Techimai, Wenchi, Bamboy, Bole, Tuwa, and then the Eastern Corridor Road, Accra, Tema, Asikuma, Hohoe, Jasekang, Nkwanta, Oti, Damango, Bimbila to Yendi, or Accra, Tema, Asikuma, Have, Bando, Rara, Jasekai, Nkwanta, Oti, Damango, Bimbila to Yendi, or the Accra, Tema, Asikuma, Have, Pando, Rara, Damboy, that's through a ferry crossing to Walensi and then Bimbila to Yendi. Then the other option of the central corridor, you have to use the Accra, Kumasi, Mampong, Ejira, Atebu, Yeji. Yeji is also through a ferry crossing to Salaga. Or you could use the Kintampo, Techimai, Nkranza, Ejira, Atebu, Yeji. Yeji is also through a ferry crossing to Salaga. And then the final alternative is the Western Central Corridors. You need to go through Takrade, Takwa, Bogoso, Ayemfuri, Dunkwa, Obuasi, Kumasi, Techimai, Wenchi, Bamboy, and then to Bole and Wa. Motorists are advised, according to a statement, to adhere to directional and safety signs that will be made available at the appropriate sections. Any inconveniences caused, according to the statement, is deeply regretted. Right, let's do some discussions on that. We have the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Highway Authority, Diana Siade, you said, right? I hope I got it right. Good evening. We're grateful that you are here. Now, shouldn't this have been done as part of the earlier closures?
Well, work is still in continue, stage by stage. The initial repair works require the removal of the surface dressing, that's the asphalt layout. Okay, now after the initial repair works, it has been commissioned. When I said commission, I mean
the repair works done. Now road users can use it, drivers.
So without compromising safety, we open it up for use. So after it's been commissioned, that is, cars have applied and are safe, we are now on the
next stage.
Yeah, the next stage of restoring the asphalt overlay.
The asphalt overlay, which we're taking off in order to aid the repair.
Yes,
now,
so
we also know that there have been some compromises from staff of the Ghana Highway Authority on the bridge. Have you been able to punish anyone who possibly compromised with safety by allowing drivers and other road users who were not supposed to use the road to use it in the previous instances?
I just don't know what you're referring to,
Okay,
because this news to me.
So let me make it clear.
Please do.
We understand that during the period of the closures, there were instances where some drivers were allowed to cross, which was not supposed to be so. And these were compromises that were made by some of your staff.
Well, that's news to me.
That's news to you.
Find out
So I reckon that the best thing to do is to figure out where
if that's true.
this
and
is. But
moreover, we've passed that stage.
you pass that
and
stage.
cars are
Yeah,
using
so,
it. So
the most important thing for us is that as you have passed that stage, the next stage is also a closure. So drivers are not supposed to use the road between 7 a.m. and 1 p.m., correct?
yes, as in, we'll be working on the two bridges, not simultaneously. One is to be done tomorrow, and the following day, that's Friday, the other one. So we'll be starting with Buipe tomorrow, and the time is 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. And right after that, motorists can still use
So we
the
come back to the issue of compliance. How certain are you that your staff will fully ensure that every driver complies with the closure time?
If you don't close or cut off, there's no way you can restore the asphalt layout. So
I know that.
I don't know how they'll be compromised.
No, I know that. But what I'm saying is that did you ever get information that some of your members, your staff members, allowed drivers to go when the road was closed?
We had crisis, and we are here now and have made progress.
So you want us to forget about what happened in the past?
If it were really an issue, you know, there was so much pressure on us, it could have come up.
Yeah, and you didn't know about that. Because
No.
I'm asking these as a guide to whether or not your members of your staff will comply with the closure effectively. Because if they've breached compromises,
There's no way we can achieve progress with this work if somebody compromised. So far, we've been on target. We've achieved, let me say, 97% of work success with this bridge as far as we are concerned. So those issues, I think they never really exist. And if they do, well, thank God we could solve them and we could have reached this place.
So you are not. Let me ask you straight. I need straight answers. That's why I'm going
I'm
around
giving you
it.
straight
But
answers.
what
I
I
told
want
you
to find
first,
out.
this is news to me.
Yeah.
And during the time, you should understand that we were heading to a national catastrophe.
Crisis.
So if somebody opened up that place and anything could have happened, then it's one, the person who is influencing somebody to open it up, and the person who allowed themselves to be compromised would have had problems.
Okay, that's fine. I will leave it there. But let's look at the alternative routes which have been designated.
Yeah.
I will not be able to go through all the routes, but the routes I am familiar with, the Eastern Corridor, Accra, Tema, Sikuma, Hohoe, Jasika, Nkwanta, Oti, Damango, Bimbila, Yendi. That is a death trap. That is a very bad road. So how is it possible that people can use the Hohoe stretch of the Eastern Corridor Road to get to Bimbila and Yendi?
It's very interesting that you could ask this question again, because during the crisis, those critical sections on the Eastern Corridor were worked on.
Resurfaced?
Were worked on.
Resurfaced?
Were worked on to make it motorable.
Motorable.
Good. So I don't know what you're referring to as death trap, really.
Well, I mean, they're very bad. I've applied the road from Asikuma through to Hohoe, and I must tell you that it's, I mean, I can specify to you that I did that just before the Xmas. So after
just before we finished with the Buipe, just before we went there to work on those critical sections.
Those
roads were
fixed. Yes.
Yes. So you couldn't be referring to something that happened before.
So what you're telling us is that those alternative routes are motorable.
So
drivers should not be agitated
not at all.
The waiting time could affect
some
them.
were even waiting at the bridges for days to be able to cross when we were in those crises.
Okay.
Now it's just a 6 hour. Yes, it has some effect on the activity. There's a disruption, but those who can afford the 6 hour wait, we are appealing to them to do so. If not, they should just...
Okay, so let me give you 30 seconds
back.
so you can speak directly to road users who might be plying that road. What would you say to them? What should they look out for?
Well, what we want to tell you is that the Ghana Highway is at work. The work on the 2 bridges is in continuum. We are not totally finished, but safety has been measured and you can still use those bridges. But what we are saying is that right now, we need to lay asphalt to make it more smooth, accessible, and safe for you. It's just an improvement on the bridges. So you bear with us, hold out 6 hours for 2 days. That's 12 hours. It's much, but we are saying that after that, we are all...
That is it. So nobody will have to go back and face these inconveniences again.
Not at all.
We're grateful, Diana. Thank you very much for joining us. Diana Seade is the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Highway Authority. I'm Stephen Enti. This is still News at 10. We're live on our Facebook page and streaming on the internet at 3news.com. You can also hear us on 3FM 92.7. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Now, Citizens Forum, a civil society organization, has filed a petition at the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice on the collection of recruitment fees by the Ghana Immigration Service. The group is seeking charge to, among others, 1, determine whether the payment of the money to seek employment in the Ghana Immigration Service is a worthy practice that can stay and which all public and private institutions can emulate, given the fact that in other jurisdiction, people being enlisted into the services are not charged any recruitment fees. 2, the group also wants to pronouncement on the conduct of the Ghana Immigration Service as its Controller General as applied in the LI of 1892 and 1802, I beg your pardon, and 3, to investigate and ascertain all other matters that may be relevant to this particular issue. So let's quickly jump to Benjamin Alpha. Benjamin Alpha is in the studio with us tonight. He's with the Citizens Forum, the other petitioners. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for meeting you. So I need to understand the legitimacy of these claims you're making. What is the legal basis?
Thanks, Steve. We have taken this action in the spirit of public interest. And if you look at the number of issues that we raised, we grounded all of them in relevant laws that are applicable. Now, we have raised about 8 issues, but I mean, for the sake of time, we can condense them to about 4.
Whether the payment of the money is a worthy practice.
First of all, whether Ghana Immigration Service
should have collected
and Civil Service has the right and the power to fix a fee and go ahead to collect same, especially in the face of the Financial Administration Regulation LI 1802 Section 20 and Public Financial Management Act 921 Section 47. The combined effect of these provisions is that all public agencies, before they can fix a fee and go ahead to collect, must have due recourse to Parliament. And so if you go to the Ghana Immigration Service website, the last we know of is an LI 228, which spells out, you know, a number of fees that they can take when you are applying for work permit, when you are applying for passport, residence permit, and all of that. You do not see recruitment fee there. And to the extent that these are agencies that have budgetary allocations appropriated for them is a very worrisome matter. 2, we think that there are certain administrative breaches as far as the collection of the money and the disbursement is concerned. From the relevant legal document that I'm citing, if you read very well, you will know that these monies must either be deposited in the consolidated fund or a public fund.
So in principle, you're saying that the Ghana Immigration Service erred.
Yes,
and you want charge to make that pronouncement clearly.
Yes.
But what of the indications that the Ghana Immigration Service has given that it is willing to give a point-by-point account of how the money was used. That should make you happy.
Yeah, Steve, that's a matter of interest to us. But first of all, before we get there, we must look at the process in taking these monies. Our general objective is that we feel that the age-long practice where unemployed youth would have to pay some money, some fees to want to serve their nation is something that's not good. In other jurisdictions, you go for, recruitment into the forces and you are even given snack. Here you pay 50 cedis, they will tell you they are going to use it for administrative expenses, and graduates will stand in the sun, queue up, waiting for their names to be registered and all of that. So even before we get to accountability, we need to make sure that the processes are seen so that in future, when some of these agencies and public sector bodies are fixing fees to charge, they will be minded by these directives and some of these.
I want to ask you, why now? I mean, I know timing is crucial. Why did you not make this move until today?
Yes, that's a very legitimate question, but the point is that it is because it's an age-long practice, that is why it's even more important that we stop it at a point in time. And so for us, it is, and when you take an action to Shraj, you must be able to corroborate it with evidence. And you must be able to gather the facts out there to support the issues.
So you're ready for that?
Yes, we are ready for that. If you take the matters retrospectively, you may not get the fact. We feel that for the Ghana Immigration Service and the Civil Service of Ghana recruitment issues, the facts are fresh out there, and we can use this as a starting point. It must end somewhere, and that's the objective of our action.
So after Shraj, what next?
Well, we are very assured and very convinced that the issues that we have raised are very legitimate, and Shraj is going to give us a very favorable pronouncement on them. When we are able to secure
closure from Shraj.
Yes,
if the closure doesn't come,
well, there are a number of options available to us.
You go to court,
which it is very possible. But for now, we have taken a first step, and we want the outcome to inform other steps that we will take. And so we want public service agencies to be minded that, look, the unemployment scenario, we are all unanimous in the fact that it's approaching national security scenarios. And if we are not able to solve the problem, we must not as well siphon monies from these unemployed.
Right,
for the civil service, the Ghana Immigration Service alone, an amount of about 4.218 million Ghana cedis was accrued as a result of these collections. How were they used? How is it that people that want to serve their nation would have to take monies from them and all of that? We feel that these are matters shrouded in secrecy.
Benjamin, we're grateful for
your time, though.
Thank you very much, Benjamin Alpha. We're hoping that you get the response you seek for. Thank you for coming. Benjamin Alpha is with the Citizens Forum. They're the petitioners. They're petitioning Shraj over the collection of 50 cedis from the applicants who wanted to enlist into the Ghana Immigration Service. Let's do some other stories now. Occupants of some blocks of Kaiser Flats in Tema Community 4 have been ordered by the Tema Development Corporation, TDC, to vacate by Thursday, February 2nd, or be evicted.
The structures to be demolished have been declared uninhabitable due to serious structural defects. The demolition exercise has resulted in a long-standing battle between the TDC and the occupants, who have resolved to resist the move. The order follows a Tema High Court judgment on October 28, 2013 in favor of TDC to obtain a writ of possession to remove the occupants of Block 407, 408, 410 and 415 to make way for redevelopment. The Greater Accra NADMO coordinator, Archibald Kobina, described the area as disaster-prone.
We shouldn't be a nation where we wait for disaster to happen and then we all say, "Ow, wow, sorry, hey," and show remorse and all of that and begin to run and see what can be done here and there. It's essential that we do all in our power to protect their lives and their properties for their own sake and for the sake of the nation.
A government spokesperson on infrastructure, Rachel Asante-Yeboah, said government would not wait for a disaster to occur before it takes action.
Looking at this particular structure, this example, the whole basement is literally collapsed. The building is literally sinking. So if you allow people to inhabit in this facility, I don't think that we'll wake up one day seeing all these people dying and what will we say to ourselves, expressing condolences. I'm not sure that is enough.
Speaking of camera, occupants of the flats remained uncertain about their fate as they claimed they have nowhere to go.
Now, some die-hard fans of Shatta Wale have been sharing their views on what the signing of their favorite artist to the Xylophone label means to them.
I was very happy, and I don't know how to express, because it's good to see Shatta Wale on Xylophone. You know, Xylophone Media too is they are big men. So I hope this through Xylophone side, Shatta is going to take the BET award. Yeah, I believe.
Anything Shatta movement touches turns to gold. You know, we're huge. Talking about the rivalry, Beam Nation, well, it's now a family. So we are also watching out for anybody who would like to beef Shatta. But if you are coming, make sure you have money.
Our king have suffered so much to get to this level. It's not easy, you know. Big ups to Nana Pia and Ensan. We thank you for doing this a great thing for us, you know. And it's going to be mad. What we're expecting is like, you know, we'll be featuring international artists and whatever, and you know, we'll go far to the international level. That's what we're expecting from, you know, the Xylophone Media.
Well, I'm expecting big thing, a great thing to happen. Right now, we want to conquer Africa.
Right, so still, this is the unveiling ceremony of Shatta Wale onto the Xylophone platform, and I want to find out you are a fan. We've seen you spot your SM T-shirt, and you must be excited at this thing.
Oh yeah, really, I'm really excited because sign Shatta Wale. You know how big Xylophone Media is in Ghana here. Shatta Wale is double big like Xylophone Media. So if you've been able to sign Shatta Wale, then Shatta Wale is going to sell you, you know. Shatta Wale internationally, you don't know, them confused, you don't know. You don't know, so them confused, so they don't know what to do.
You also want to find out what's your expectation? What do you hope that this major marriage or signing will bring about? What do you think this union is going to yield?
So, you know, actually, what this union will yield is great. Shatta Wale already told us this year is a miraculous year. Yeah, and what is coming up, I think, is big. It's bigger than what we are imagining. Because sign Shatta Wale, wow, they're really confused.
We want to hit and conquer the international market.
This year, we are going to buy our private jet. You know, you don't know, Shatta movement. This year, we are buying our private jet.
So it's been one of the landmark signings the music industry has witnessed in recent years. Xylophone signing Shatta Wale onto their platform. And from the fans, they are saying that they are very excited and they are expecting that Shatta Wale will conquer the international market and take Ghana to the world.
Right, on that interesting note, we wrap up with news at 10. I wish them the very best, the two artists, Stonebwoy and Shatta Wale, on the Xylophone label. My name is Stephen Enti. We're grateful for your time. On behalf of the crew here, good night. There is more news at 3news.com.